Wednesday, July the 16th. Lake level is about 916.3, which has dropped about 6 inches or so in the last week. Most of the generation they've been doing is still late at night. They actually did run a couple generators till about 7 o'clock or so this morning, and we actually caught a few fish, fairly shallow down there by the dam on a football jig on point, and it seemed like once they shut that generation down, the shallow bite really slowed down. Water temperature is about 82, 83 degrees, depends where you're at on the lake. Really got cool last night, and it looks like it's even supposed to get colder tonight. I don't think it's going to make a big change in the water temperature. It sure makes it, good on us out there. It's nice and cool fishing, but I don't think it's going to make a big drastic change on the fish. For the most part, fishing hadn't changed much in the last couple weeks, except I actually think it's got a little tougher down by the dam. I've been down there for 2 or 3 days. Earlier in the week, I was up around the Baxter, Kimberling City area, and I've spent some time up in the James River. But like I said, I think by far, the toughest bite for me is around the dam. That's where the water's the clearest, and the fish seem to be the deepest. Now, I can catch a few shallow fish in the dam area, but it's pretty limited to where I can catch them, and I have a hard time catching them consistently from one day to the next. The shallow fish I'm catching, 15 to 20 foot deep on a 5/8 or 3/4 ounce football jig. Like I said, the problem is it's hard to go back and repeat it. A lot of the drop shot fish that we're catching down there, that's how we're catching most of them down there. They're out over real deep trees and some out over the flat points, but some of them places you got to get out there in 80 to 100 foot of water, find where the trees are coming up to about 30 to 40 foot from the surface, and drop a drop shot right down in the top of the tree. Or they've been out on the end of these long flat gravel points where they roll off. Kind of the same old deal that's been going on, and it will be going on for the next few weeks. It's just that most of them fish are Kentuckies, and for the most part, it's not a whole lot of size to them. At least the ones I've been catching. The way I've been catching them there, I'm a little drop shot rig, about 16 inches of line from the bait down to the weight. Number 2 Gamakatsu circle hook. Been using several different worms. The one I have the most confidence is the brown purple laminated of Chompers. Another one that's working real good is the Danger Close makes it. It's a 4-inch plum finesse worm. He also makes a watermelon candy with a little purple shade. It's kind of a laminated bait. It's got a dark purple stripe down one side. It's been working good as well. I haven't found one that's working any better than the other. Now, I've been doing better on the drop shot from Kimberling City to Baxter, almost to Campbell Point. I've been catching a little bit bigger fish, been catching a few largemouths mixed in with them. They haven't been quite as deep. That water is a lot clearer down there by the dam, but the fish around Kimberling and Baxter, I've been able to catch some around the boat docks, out in front of them, and like down, if you find a dock that's got about 40 to 60 foot of water out at the end of it, the first 2 or 3 stalls on the deep side seem to be some fish hanging in them. Either outside on the edges of the dock, on the shaded side works best, or pitching in the stalls underneath the boats, along the side of the pontoon boats and the ski boats with a jig. Now normally we do that with a white jigging spoon, but I've been finding I've been getting 4 to 5 to 1 more bites on a jig than I have on the spoon. I think probably a lot of that reason is there's not a lot of bait fish up around them docks like we would normally see. And I think that's why the drop shot bite's not as consistent and as good. You still don't seem like you can catch a lot of drop shot fish in any one area. You got to be up and moving around quite a little bit. But the jig I've been throwing is a 5/8 ounce or 3/4 ounce pig sticker jig. A lot of different colors working, but a green pumpkin orange has been working good for me. Peanut butter jelly, watermelon candy. I'm using a couple different trailers. I'll either use a Strike King, Baby Rage Craw is a trailer, or a Zoom Speed Craw. They're both working. Now a lot of them fish underneath them docks are suspended, so what I'm doing, I'm pitching that jig as far back in the stall as I can get it. You want to keep a real close eye on your line as the bait's dropping. Some of the bites might come as shallow as 10 or 12 feet, some of them about 25. But what I'm doing is I'm counting it down to about 30 foot, Depends on how deep the stall is. If the stall is 35 foot or less, I'll let it go all the way to the bottom and I'll work it out of the stall. If I've got my line over a boat lift where it's halfway back in the stall, once it goes to the bottom, I'll kind of yo-yo it up and down a few times, and that doesn't, I don't get a bite, I'll reel it up and make a pitch to the next dock. Now you can try a drop shot in that same places, but the problem with the light line on the drop shot, you don't have a very good chance of getting the fish out of there. I'm throwing 16-pound sun line in around them boat lifts, so when I get hooked up I can pull that fish out over the lifts, around the chains, stuff to get them out. Now I did spend a couple days up in the James River last week. I didn't catch them the way I was planning on. I thought I could catch them on a big worm and a big crankbait. Well, it seemed like the only bites that we got consistent were on a ½ ounce or 5/8 ounce shaky head, a big shaky head, with a baby brush hog California 420 color, and another rig we was using was it's a pig rig, or like a biffle hardhead, where the football head actually swivels, and we're using the same bait. It seemed like watermelon candy or the California 420 was working pretty good on it. Most of them fish were out on the main lake points up in the river, just where the channel would come up against the flat. It might be real smooth up on top of it, but once you started down the side of it where the channel was and got around either the bigger rock or the timber, that's where the bites were. The problem was it seemed like the bite was over with about 8:30. After 8:30, 9 o'clock, we really struggled. But we did mess around a little bit, and we caught some fish on a 3/8 ounce pig sticker Snowden jig, just a little finesse jig with a critter craw for a trailer, around shallow boat docks anywhere from 4 to 10 foot deep. So that's something I think we could have expanded on and gone further up the river. Now the next 2 days, I'm going to go way up into Flat Creek and way up into the James, and fish a little square bill crankbait, shaky head. It's like I say, most of the down lake bite has been really deep, and the Kentuckys. Now, around the Kibling City area, there is a football jig bite, but it's kind of like the one down at the dam. You really got to work hard to get 6, 8, 10 bites on it. And if you can get 10 bites, you'll have 6 or 8 keepers. There's some smallmouths and largemouths and a few Kentuckys, but more largemouths if I can get bit on the jig. So anyways, I'm going to go up the upper ends of the river and try to hunt out some largemouths. So till next week, good luck, good fishing.